I was at a point where I'm so done with the sport, like a year ago. Last year was probably one of the longest years of my life. It was just so long, and 2016 was hard work, and I felt like it was hard work for everyone. Yeah, it was a hard year.
The Olympic dream is over.
It can get toxic. That kind of environment can get toxic, and, you know, coaches making athletes fight for spots and, you know, putting them up against each other, and that really made me lose the love for the game. That whole Olympics, it wasn't the best. It was probably good that Rio wasn't the best, because it's pushing me to have an amazing Tokyo. It just made me hungrier.
After a year away from the game she loves, Liz Cambage is officially back. The 26-year-old hit rock bottom after the Rio Olympics, but after some much-needed time away, she's rediscovered her love of the game. The 204-centimetre Olympian has returned to her hometown to suit up for the Melbourne Boomers in Australia's Women's National Basketball League.
Do you love basketball?
I do.
How did you rediscover your love for it then if you lost the love 12 months ago?
It became too much of a business. I like to explain it as Survivor. It's very... A lot of people, it's their whole life, and they've put their whole lives into it. They've played it since they were kids, and that's all they know is basketball. And I've known so many other things my whole life as well that I could never really just focus on my sport. And I think when it came a business and Survivor and, you know, outwit, outlast, outplay, and I think just training individually with coaches, that helped me get back into it and remember that I love just shooting on my own. I love, you know, just heading to a court on my own, and that's what I used to do as a kid, you know. Mum used to take me to the courts and do extra shooting, and that's the thing I've really missed, is just like getting away from the team environment and discovering the game for myself just one-on-one.
We'd basically come back to live in Melbourne, and then we'd move down the peninsula. She was around 10 years old and came into a new school environment. So she was really struggling to find some friends. She'd always been a really happy-go-lucky girl, always, you know, been in a really good space. And I came in and she was really very upset and crying one day. And she said, "Oh, you know, I've got no friends." And so that broke my heart. So then I thought, I need to find something for her to do outside of school where she can actually, you know, maybe make some friends. In the local leader, I saw an ad for Western Port needing some players, and I thought, we'll have a crack at that. So rang them, showed up on Sunday morning for training, and the rest is history, as they say. Because
I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm like, why is Mum in my bedroom at like 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning? I don't know, like, what are you doing? I'm meant to be asleep. And then all of a sudden we're at a basketball court, and I'm like, I was not into sport. I was not into moving around much. I was very just like arts and crafts and singing and dancing and drawing, and I played piano, I played violin. I was never sporty in primary school, but I guess, yeah, I'm so lucky that I had so many coaches that saw talent somewhere deep down inside of me. Because I couldn't catch, I couldn't pass, I could hardly run.
Did basketball find you rather than you find basketball?
I think basketball found me, and it took a while. I think I was running and hiding from basketball for a little bit, but I was lucky that, you know, I made best friends my first training session of basketball. And if that didn't happen, I probably would have hated it. But that's the thing I'm most grateful for this sport, is the people I've met and the connections I've made and the places I've gotten to go.
So you were born in London and your parents separated at an early age. Mm-hmm. Your dad's Nigerian. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had much to do with him?
No. Yeah, my mum raised me, and all I've ever needed is my mum and my nana, and I've never longed for that connection. So, yeah, yeah.
I read somewhere that he came along to watch you play at the London Olympics.
Yes, yeah.
And saw you play all of your games, but you didn't know at the time.
No. It's probably good I didn't know. Ignorance is bliss.
How does that make you feel?
It doesn't really make me feel anything, you know. I I've never really wanted, I don't know, my mum is so amazing. She raised me. I've never wanted a dad. I've never needed that, you know. I've just always had my mum and my nana, and I think 2 Cambages raising you is more than enough. Yeah.
What about your relationship with your mum? Similar personalities or very, very different?
I am my mother's daughter.
Is that a good or a bad thing?
It's a good thing. My mum is like the most, I don't know, powerful, inspirational, take no BS woman, and that's really empowered me and made me the woman I am today.
Do you remember where you were when you got the phone call the first time to say you've been picked for Australia?
Where was I? I was 17 and I was just finishing at the AIS and I was trying to get my driver's license, and I didn't really think I was going to make the team, but when I made it, I was like, wow, I'm there. Like, everything I've been chasing. It was literally like the year after I had just watched them in Beijing, and in my mind I was like, that's what I want. Like, I really want to go to the Olympics. I really want to wear the green and gold. And the next year, it was literally like a year later, I was, you know, wearing it and helping the team qualify.
And you had that life-changing moment, I guess, in 2011 when you were picked 2 in the WNBA draft and sent to Tulsa.
That was crazy. That was a crazy year. All of a sudden I was in Tulsa, and then it was all happening. I'm in the WNBA and everything just went crazy. It was literally like the craziest month of my life. I've never had so much media, so many phone calls than I did then. And yeah, it was so out of this world. Like, when everything you've ever wanted just like comes true, I was like, this is actually happening. But I learnt so much. I was 19. I was 19 and like number 2 draft pick, moving, you know, to the other side of the world. Most girls go to college and I just went straight into the league.
So you played the 2 seasons with Tulsa.
Yes.
What was the experience like?
Oh, I learned a lot. Interesting. Yeah, I've only played 2 seasons of WNBA because WNBA clashes with, you know, Opal's commitments and qualifying for teams. And I'm a bit of a slow learner when it comes to like learning plays. It takes a lot of time for me to like know plays, so I've got them down 100% for games. So I've always sat out of the WNBA so I could give my all to the Opals.
So 2 years in America, and then you've had 3 seasons in China with 3 different teams. Mm-hmm. What's the experience in China like, and how does that differ to the States?
It's so different. China is its own like whole other thing, a whole other world. I learned a lot living in China, and I'm so respectful of their culture. I have so many great friends there. Shanghai is so much fun. Beijing is amazing, the old art. I've stood on the border of, you know, China and North Korea. I've seen things that people will never see, and I love it. I don't miss it too much. It's hard being from Melbourne to go live in China and live in such a, you know, exotic culture. Eating chicken feet. At my team, we would eat together every meal, and chicken feet and chicken heads and soup. And
you'd eat it? If you say it takes you a while, you're a slow learner, to pick up plays, how do you pick up plays in the China competition? Is it you got a translator?
I have a translator. So my last team in Shanghai, we had 3 translators because our head coach was Korean. I was Australian, so then there was the Chinese team. So we had a Korean Chinese translator, a Chinese English translator, and an English Korean translator. It was crazy, but yeah, it was good fun.
Did you know what you're doing out there on court?
Not really. Yeah. Do I ever?
Good point, good point. You seem like a pretty sassy businesswoman. What have you done? Obviously, you've been able to play overseas and accumulate some money. What have you done investment-wise?
Well, I'm not the savvy one. I'm very lucky to have a mother who is very good at the business end. And, you know, she's such a powerful CEO. And she knows what she's doing with money. So I'm very lucky to have Mum. As soon as I got, like, my first big payment, she was like, invest in homes, invest in houses, And then I've also invested part owner in a gym with my strength coach of 13 years. God bless Darren McInnes. I don't know how he's done it, but yeah, the gym is my favourite thing. The gym it's a beautiful gym, and it's a place for teenagers who are elite in their sports and looking to be professional athletes go, and I'm so lucky to have Dime. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Dime. My body would be wrecked, and he really is all about the development of young athletes and getting their bodies right, and they're our future, you know. I love going into the gym and seeing all the kids training. It really gets me here.
What about physically for yourself? Do you enjoy walking into a gym knowing you've got a tough session?
I love it.
You like getting a sweat up in a gym?
Yeah. So it took me a while to understand that the three main things in life that I love is my sport, basketball, health and fitness, like eating well, working out, going to the gym, just healthy mind, healthy body. And then my third thing is art and design and music, my creative side. So without those three things, the triangle, I go a bit loopy.
So you've played in 2 Olympics and you've made a name for yourself at both Olympics. Your first one was in London, and you made a name for yourself when you became the first woman to dunk at an Olympics.
Yeah.
I guess you've been asked this question so many times. Do you remember it? What was that? What was it actually like?
I've seen it so many times that I don't think I'd ever forget. But that was literally an out-of-body experience. I didn't know, because when I play, it's not me playing. It's my instincts, and I kind of I don't know. It's not me when I'm on the court. It's white line fever and just in the zone, and I don't hear anything except for my coach. I block out everything, just the game and the coach. And because after it, I was literally it was a timeout straight away. Everyone was celebrating, and my face is just I don't know what just happened.
Game face.
I was literally I don't know what I just did. Everyone's Liz, you're the first person to dunk. I was oh my God. I was I didn't know what was going on. And because it was a pretty close game as well. So I was just trying to keep focused on the game, but it was too much was going on.
And then afterwards she said to me she had a printout, and we were waiting outside when they all came out, and she handed me the first picture of it, and she just said, "That's for you." So, still gets me. Sorry.
It's okay.
It was just a really beautiful thing for her to say.
Did you get bombarded a bit in the days, months, years after? I mean, do people still come up and talk to you about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Every day. But it's cool. It's nice to have that on my resume.
Now it's getting really funky.
After the break, Liz takes us into her world away from the basketball court.
So you've had the year off. How do you switch off from the game? What do you do away from a basketball court?
I switch off quite easily. I think switching off for me growing up was always PlayStation, and so it's really nice to be able to switch off and focus on actually brain stimulating things now, like DJing or my designing. I'm a fashion school dropout, so it's really nice to be designing again. But yeah, I have so many great friends that just don't know anything about sport. They just don't know. They just don't get it. And for me, it's really great to just not have to be talking about that all the time.
How did the DJing come about?
So it's something I've wanted to do probably since I was 15 years old. And Mitch, my manager, at my birthday dinner, he was so I'm going to put you on at Lavazza Marquee to DJ, and you have a month or 2 months to get it together and do it. And if you give me a deadline to do something, I get it done. It was lots of pressure, but it's probably the best thing someone's done for me recently. It really, I found my love for something else again, and the feeling of learning something. When beat matching took me so long to learn, and when I finally got it, oh my God, it was I felt like I had scored my first goal. It was that feeling again of just I know what I'm doing. I've got this. And yeah, it was a bit of a magical moment.
And opening for Mary J. Blige would have been an absolute thrill. Do you get more nervous when you have to DJ in a situation like that, or playing for the Opals in a big game?
I get more nervous about DJing just because it's new and I'm a rookie. I'm a vet with basketball, so I've got that. I still get nervous with big games of basketball, but DJing, I was having panic attacks last year. So it's nice that I'm not like that anymore, but it's nice to feel nerves again.
You've said previously that you sort of grew up here in Australia without a real understanding about your background and your culture, and that everything changed when you moved to the States when you were 19. What do you mean by that, and what did you learn about your culture over there?
I grew up not really seeing, well, I never really saw people of colour. It's still, you turn on the TV, it's like, where are the TV presenters who are of colour? And so I didn't really understand it. I didn't really understand how whitewashed we were until I got to America, and I learnt more about who I was. Like, I didn't even know how to do my hair properly. I just didn't understand. Like, I was just in a different culture. But going to America, I learned a lot about me and like my body type. For me, growing up, looking at, these beautiful, skinny white Bondi girls with the blonde hairs and the tans and the blue eyes. I spent a lot of my high school days trying to make myself whiter by dyeing my hair blonde, straightening it, wearing blue contacts, trying to be this skinny girl that I'll never be because, I've got curves, I've got booty. And my whole life, I've shamed my body. I hated my big lips. I hated, my thick eyebrows. I hated my curves. But I think it's amazing that, now it's so embraced and people are paying for the things that I hated so much growing up.
You've had an ongoing conversation on social media with Andrew Bogut over the years?
Yeah.
Why do you engage?
Why does he engage? Why does he think that he can say the things that he does? Why does he think he can get away with that? And why is he so scared and act like nothing ever happened when I see him face to face? People act so tough behind computers, but when they're face to face, they've got nothing to say.
Has Basketball Australia ever tried to step in and clear the air between the two of you?
No. Why would they do that? It's not. Any other organisation would, but not Basketball Australia.
Do you respect him?
No. I used to. He's an amazing player, but when you're in your 30s and you're tweeting at a girl in her 20s about what she wears, what she does, who she sleeps with, I have no respect for you.
Do you feel at times that publicly she's been a bit misunderstood?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think because she's actually hilarious. She's a really funny girl to be around and she's fun. And I think sometimes she's portrayed as being sort of a bit dark and no fun. And I don't know any of her friends or anyone around who would tell you that she's actually hilarious. But I know that I want her to speak her truth, so I'm very supportive of that. And I'm a big believer in that she needs to show leadership and she needs to stand up for herself and her beliefs and her opinions, because if she doesn't do it, who will?
Prejudice. Wrote a song about it. Like to hear it? Here it go. Free your mind.
And you've since made a connection with the Black Rights Matters campaign.
Yes.
Why is that so meaningful to you?
I know how privileged I am and the way I was raised. I have such a hard-working family. Like, my mum and my nana sacrificed so much to give me the best. And I come from a very privileged family, and a lot of people of colour aren't as privileged as I am. And I feel like a lot of things I have is because I am half white. And I feel like I have felt discrimination for being of colour. I've seen a lot of people be discriminated for being of colour. And I feel like I have an obligation to use my voice. And if people think we don't have an issue here, you're so blinded by it all.
So when a teammate, Alice Koenig, posted that photo on Twitter, is that a lack of education? And did you even think twice before sort of responding?
I think it's interesting because if you've known me through my 20s, you know how I feel about racism, and those girls all knew. I don't think it's an education thing. I think we all know, everyone knows. Like, it's been blown up so much in the media now, and if you cultural appropriation, blackface, it's just ignorance.
What did you learn from that experience?
It taught me that even if you're in the right, you can still be, treated so badly. I was amazed by all the people that supported me in it, and I was also so amazed by all the people who threw me under the bus.
Oh, anytime you have your team airing their grievances on social media, regardless of who's right and wrong and what the issue is, that's never ideal. But the way I understand it, Liz Cambage, she's apologised for the tweet that she sent out. I hope that Liz has been able to find her way to accept that apology and we just move on and focus on what lies ahead, because the Opals are a genuine chance to win a gold medal.
But the Opals' Rio preparation went from bad to worse when longtime captain Lauren Jackson was forced to retire because of a persistent knee injury. Australia had medalled in the last 5 Olympics. They went undefeated in the preliminary rounds, but suffered a shock loss to Serbia, ending their Olympic campaign and the careers of Penny Taylor and Laura Hodges.
It's heartbreaking, and not really for me, for Penny and for Laura. Laura, she asked us to help her take her uniform off because it was the last time she would take her uniform off, and I broke down. It was the worst. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. Was 2 of our best players ever to play for the Opals, and that was their last game. Horrific. If we medalled, I probably would have retired. So in a good way, I guess, everything has its good and bad times, but I was at a point where I'm so done with the sport, a year ago. But it just made me hungrier, that Serbia game. That whole Olympics, it wasn't the best. The village wasn't the best, the logistics wasn't the best, and of course I'm comparing, Rio to the London Olympics, which was my first Olympics, which was just amazing and so well organised. So I think it was probably good that Rio wasn't the best, because it's pushing me to have an amazing Tokyo and make Tokyo.
Well, Liz, you're back, baby. You're back where it all began, back where it all started, back in Melbourne, back on TV. It must be absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be back home with the Boomers again. This is it's home. It's there's nothing else to explain it. It's being gone for 6 years and coming back to Melbourne, coming back to my first club that I was with when I left the AIS, so it's exciting.
Why the Melbourne Boomers, and how did it come about? Did someone pick up the phone, or...?
Lauren Jackson. Loz called me, yeah. Loz is Liz, what are you doing? And I'm Loz, I'm having time off. Yeah, she went into business mode and got me to sign the contract, and I'm back with the Boomers. I really wanted to come work with Guy for a full, proper season of basketball because I think he's an amazing coach. And yeah, it's home, and a great coach is here, and it's this amazing new stadium here in Knox. So yeah, there's no other options of where I wanted to play. I was Melbourne Boomers.
And you're getting the band back together a little bit, in a way, because Jenna O'Hay's coming back as well.
It's so exciting. I love Jenna so much, and it's been hard. The past 4 years, her not being in the Opals, she was missed. She was really missed, and I've missed playing with her. I won a championship with her 4 years ago with the Bulleen Boomers, so it's really exciting.
And the fact that you're back on TV, it's been 3 years that we haven't seen women's basketball in this country. While women's sport's really taken off, what does it mean for the sport that you're back on TV finally? I feel
and with a lot of signings this year as well, I feel the WNBL is back at that professional level. You can't sell a game without it being on TV. How are people going to know what we're doing if you can't watch it, if you can't tune in? So we're so thankful for Fox for picking us up and, giving us a chance to prove ourselves on TV once again, because it was really heartbreaking not being able to show our talent for the past 3 years, but now we're back.
Susie Bakovic.
Afford more balls.
CEO of the NBL, Jeremy.
So what's the game plan now for Liz over the next couple of years?
I would like to win this WNBL season. I'd like to play in the Com Games. I'd like to go back to the WNBA. That's a year. And next year, I'd like to go to Tokyo I'd like to win a medal in Tokyo.
In your first game in the WNBL, can you dunk for us?
Right? This is a whole thing, like, 7 years ago, that I was going to be the first person to dunk in. It never happened. So I think I need to do that. I need to finish that task that I left up in the air all those years ago. I don't know if I can. I can still dunk, I'm pretty sure. I've been a bit, like, not trying to push it, coming back from my Achilles, but I think it's time.
So that's a deal?
I don't know if it's a deal. I don't know. We'll just see what happens.
I'll give you the season.
Okay, thank you. I can do that.
Liz, it's so good to see you back in Australia, and good luck for the upcoming season that we're going to see back on TV. It's exciting times.
Thank you. Thank you for chatting with me.